Hey, just got my hair done and it's freezing cold. So, anyway, I'd like to talk to you guys about this book I just got at the High Price bookstore called Where's the Love? How Languages Can Reorient Us Back to Love's Purpose by Asar Imhotep, right? Pretty cool book, right? Haven't even gotten to the part necessarily that focuses on love or any of that shit. We're strictly still in chapter 1. And I am so excited. Okay, this got me hype in ways that a book hasn't got me hype in a minute. So we start with the fact that this nigga starts, chapter 1 is linguistic groundings. Basically giving a reasoning for why why even think about the possibility that the American conception of love could be somehow connected to, the American conception of love could have an African origin. Mind you, this isn't to say that the modern version of American love or westernized love comes from like modern Nigeria's love. No, we're talking like past. So we're talking about Indo-European. A lot of these linguistic terms I'm not an expert on. And he expressly puts that even if you're not an expert, just get through chapter 1. It'll help you regardless. I'm not an expert on any of the terms. I'm still learning a lot of things. Like I just figured out what the word doublet meant in lexem. Doublet meaning like a pair of two similar things, and lexem being like something I can't explain to you, but it's something. But I'm very excited about this already because he goes to ancient Egypt to back up the claims. Nope, mind you, the whole first part of this, the whole chapter 1, is him talking like he's going through the different theories of early language and how Indo-European languages became a thing. And he talks about first the white supremacist theory, says Eurocentric theory, that like every group had its own origin in these different places and it just started out of nowhere. So like the white man was in Europe and the Asian man was in Asia and the African was in Africa, the black man was in Africa, right? Well, that's just bullshit, first off. Everyone came from somewhere and they all came from Africa specifically. What's interesting is he ties it back. He goes to this main dude's theory, Mboli, I think that's, yeah, Mboli in 2010. Goes to his theory of that not only are these Indo-European languages highly connected to Egypt, but all the languages of Africa now are connected to Egypt are connected to ancient Egyptian. Very interesting stuff. I love Egyptology. I love these things. They're very cool. I'm just not well versed in it, so we're learning as we go. He talks about the different like reasons. He goes through it all. Pretty cool. I can't really break it down for you. Just that it's like there. The interesting things that stood out to me in this chapter 1, I'm not even done with it yet. I just really had to get this out. Where the fact he talked about the way that dynasties may have been brought about, or like why the fact that there are dynasties and like how that came about. He talks about the origin of Egypt, so it goes to that. So Egypt was formed by 5 tribes. Don't know what the names of the tribes. He doesn't go into them, right? But in the names of these 5 tribes, it was like, how did these different tribes rule? He brought it to modern day Nigeria, or like not modern day Nigeria, maybe like a little bit of ancient Nigeria, and like how they found out how to make who king at the time or leader. And it was through this pretty much like, and it was through this. So there are the five tribes, right? One of them is just put as the leader. Then whoever that person dies, or whoever's that person dies, that group, while that leader is still there, is the kind of the law of the land. That is the dominant group. That is the language spoken. That is the law way and moving of life. When that leader dies, the next group comes up and it just switches and it revolves like that. And he was saying that's probably how dynasties came about. Very interesting lore. Had no clue. Could be true, could be not. Right? Another interesting thing was he brought up another book in here called The Africans Who Wrote the Bible by, let me find his name, Dr. Nana Banshi Darkwa. He's a linguist from Ghana. I didn't even know that because I've tried to look up so much about this book. Can't find nothing about this book, first off. The Africans Who Wrote the Bible by Dr. Darkwa. Can't find shit about this book. So it made me skeptical about the book, so I never read it, which is kind of crazy. You know. If you don't know something, you shouldn't be afraid of it. And you should actually try and like tackle it and things. But first off, the book is covering a very kind of touchy subject. The Africans who wrote the Bible, kind of, it's a lot of history involved. A lot of different people being erased from that history. It's interesting stuff. And I don't think I can trust it because I'm looking online for this man, Dr. Darkwa, and I can't find him. So I'm like, okay, well then this book must not be, credible somewhat. The book bothers me to this day, but it's like, this book can't be credible. Then I see this, and he quotes him directly. He's like, in the book, The Africans Who Wrote the Bible by Dr. Dudder. And I'm like, no way. Because I kind of put more trust in this guy. This guy's putting like straight facts. He's putting things I've never heard of, things I've never seen. He's bringing up past studies, bringing up the current framework and the theory. He's showing it all, putting the ass out there. So I'm like, okay, I can see, I'm not going to really go into too depths about the linguistics of African studies, Egyptology. Like, this is kind of like an intro for me. Like a bad intro because it's kind of difficult, but it is like an intro to me. But since he thought that that book was a credible enough source to put in his book/essay thing, it now makes me want to read it even more than I wanted to read it before. Because now I've been kind of wanting to be like, yeah, I need to read this book because I'm like, bro, it's kind of crazy. Like, what the fuck is he talking about? Also, that's just interesting. Like, what do you mean the Africans wrote the Bible? What are you talking about? Buddy, I have to hear the story. And so now it makes me want to read it. And then he's bringing up so much shit about Egypt that I don't understand. I don't know, like geographies and different periods and shit. And I'm like, damn, now I have to read The Destruction of Black Civilization. That's why I love books. This is why I'm excited about this one. It's making me have to read the other books that are in my collection that I haven't been reading. I've been neglecting because I feel like I need to put a little bit more time into, a little bit more effort. So this book is this book's making me do that. After I get done with this book, for sure, I'm gonna have to hit up The Destruction of Black Civilization. See where that takes me. Then I'm gonna definitely have to hit up The Africans Who Wrote the Bible. And that's gonna be a whole project of its own because it goes linguistic. It goes heavy into linguistics, specifically the Akan language. And that's interesting. Like, what the fuck? And then I also need to study more into Egyptology because that's also just interesting and like, what the fuck? And I feel like the more I delve into these things, the more it's more of a little bit more of a soul search. That's with anything Black culture and African culture and studies like that. But this feels like a lot of soul searching. This book is a very soul touching thing. Even though right now he's just talking about like linguistic terms, bam bam, he's just giving straight fact, right? Even still, because of that, outside of that, it's still such like a kind of thing. So yeah, can't wait to not do a review, but do a review and have my thoughts out there to the world. Yeah, I recommend 10 out of 10. Goodbye.